All right, guys. So welcome back to our UiPath free, training session. And today we are going to discuss about module number 8. Module number 8 is all about using some of the advanced features in terms of how we integrate with the different applications and different, technologies, right? So we will look at some of the example where we'll be working with integrating PowerShell into UiPath. We'll look at the example where we'll integrate Python inside UiPath. We'll work how database connectivity and you know uh, automation that can use the database is used in UiPath. So that's the learning agenda for today. So it's if you look at what all things that we are going to cover, so we'll see how we can inject a code state in a UiPath, how we should be able to run different types of scripts such as Python, PowerShell, VB.NET. We'll try to see if time permits, we'll look at the SOAP and REST API, and we'll also integrate with the different types of databases. So that's what we are planning. We are not going to work on working with mainframe into this system, right? And if time permits only, then only we'll go for the REST API. But we'll target to complete injecting the code stage. We'll target to complete run the different types of scripts such as Python, PowerShell, VB.NET, and then integration with the different databases. So that's what we are planned to do, right? So what is UiPath invoke code, right? So UiPath has given an activity called invoke code, right? That's basically helps you to write a VB.NET and a C# code, right? As you all know, UiPath is nothing but a .NET based project, right? So in the workflow, in the sequence, in the flow chart, or whatever kind of workflow you designed, in the workflow, you should be able to write a small snippet of code that performs certain tasks. Many times we need to perform, copying a data from one copying a data from one Excel file to another Excel file. Many times we need to perform, deletion of folder and all those kind of thing, right? Those kinds of things can be easily done when you write a small snippet of code. So all you need to take care is four things. You need to drag invoke code activity from uipath.code.activities, right? And then you have two options there. One is edit code, second is edit arguments, right? So when you click on edit code, it will give you a window to write a code. What we usually do is we write the code outside UiPath, right? Outside UiPath, when I say outside UiPath, that means we use Visual Studio or we use other editor to write the code. And once that code is running there, we copy that code into the UiPath Studio. And we need to configure the arguments, right? Why arguments? Arguments are nothing but the parameter that code can take as input and also give something as an output, right? So that's the reason you need to define the argument. You need to define the argument in the directions. So if you are sending something to the code, it has to be in direction. If you are sending something out from the code, you have to define that in a out direction, right? And then in the code, you have to write the code. This field supports only string and string variable, so that you need to understand. So anything that you want to send there, only string and string variables can be supported. In the language, what kind of program you can write is VB.NET and C#. So that's the two option will be available there. So without discussing more, so what I'll do is I'll quickly go to the UiPath Studio and help you to understand how you should be able to invoke sample VB.NET code using UiPath, right? We are not going to discuss VB.NET programming. We are not going to discuss C# programming. What we are trying to, showcase you here is if you have understanding of writing a VB.NET code or C# code, or sometime you have to perform some operation which can be easily done in a C# or VB.NET, you should be able to write those inside your UiPath workflow. UiPath workflow also utilizes the VB scripts construct. So if you have written something in a VB script, that will be also useful to be invoked here. Okay, so let's quickly share my UiPath Studio and then we'll go look at how invoke code works. So basically what you need to do is, for this example, I have used one assign variable. That's the example in argument, right? And then I have given some text string here, and this is the invoke code. So basically what you need to do here is you have to use invoke code. this one. Okay, and this will appear like this. So you have to edit code. You should be able to write a code here. The option you have is you have arguments. So you have to define the arguments in a direction here. Say for example, you are sending some argument in direction, or if you are sending some output in a out direction or in out. So you need to set those details. Then you have to write a code and you need to select the language. By default, it supports two languages only, which is VB.NET and C#, right? So this is how you configure. So let's take an example of this one. So this is a basic VB.NET code is written. All it is doing is declaring a variable as a string. In that string variable, I am saving value as example and then writing console.writeLine to print that. Then also we are using console.writeLine to the using example argument, and in example out argument, we are sending value 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Just to showcase how input and output work. So we have defined an argument called example in argument, direction in, type is string, value should be coming from this assigned variable. Then we have defined another argument, example out argument, type is out, type is integer, and then we are storing whatever the output coming from this code stage to this variable so that we can use that into further. And when you run this, you should be able to see that it has printed value as 1, 2, 3, 4 here, right? So that's the basic of invoking a code, right? We'll look at the more example when in the next few minutes when we discuss how PowerShell can be integrated and how Python can be integrated. That will give you more idea in terms of how this input argument and output argument work, right? Any question on this before I move to next part? Anything you are not able to understand on this example? It's good here. All right. So let's quickly go back to our PPT and continue from there. So next thing that we need to discuss is PowerShell UiPath integration. And this is really, really important, guys. Reason being, PowerShell is a framework developed by Microsoft for administrative tasks, right? And the automation of repetitive jobs. So basically what you're trying to do is you are trying to execute something which is written by the Microsoft, or you are trying to execute in a UiPath for the automation stuff that is being already built using the PowerShell utilities, right? Many admin stuff which is currently being done in your IT team or IT admin they are using the PowerShell script. You can take an example of AD group management. Whenever a new employee comes into the organization, when an employee is leaving the organization, or you need to create a server, you need to create a backup, you need to create lot many other IT stuff, right? In most of the cases, either PowerShell script is used or shell script is used, right? Here we are talking about the PowerShell. So it provides a similar functionality. Those who are new to PowerShell, I'm just trying to explain them, is provide a similar functionality to the command prompt. So what exactly it does it uses the command prompt of your Windows machine, but it has more functionality that it makes more powerful. It has long list of libraries given by the Microsoft and lot of other third party. UiPath has also provided a library for UiPath orchestrator. So you should be able to use the command in a PowerShell to perform certain tasks, right? Say for example, if you want to create a user on UiPath orchestrator, you should be able to create a user using the command on UiPath, using the UiPath commandlet on PowerShell, right? So how PowerShell can be integrated with the UiPath? That's the agenda we have. So for PowerShell to be executed inside the UiPath, all you need to do is you need to invoke the PowerShell, right? This is comes under the system, so you don't need to install or manage any package. This is already available, right? So you don't need to perform any additional configuration. And once you invoke the PowerShell, you will see couple of options. So basically 3 steps need to be followed, right? For using the PowerShell script or a right, you need to follow three steps, and that those these steps are written here. We have also a detailed documentation of each of these steps step by step at our blog, and link is given at the bottom, so you should be also able to follow more detail if you want to understand each of the option. But let's look at how these steps works for integrating PowerShell. So the first thing that you need to do is use a read test file activity in your workflow window, and you have to set the following parameter. So let's take an example that we want to create a PowerShell activity which takes two number as an input, perform the sum operation and return the sum as an output. So the first thing that we need to do is write a shell script into a text file. We can use any editor of our choice to write that, PowerShell. But for UiPath to work, you need to save that file as a text. Due to some encoding issues, we prefer to save them into a text file, and we read them using read text file activity. The moment you read the text file activity, you have to store the content of your file as a string variable. So for this example, what we are doing is we are reading a shell script, name is add to number, right? And the file is being read by the read text activity in UiPath, and the output of that file will be stored into the content, which is add number. So that's the first step that you need to do. Then the second step that you need to do is you need to invoke the PowerShell workflow window with the following properties, right? What are those properties are? Look at the three properties. Those are most important. First is the command text, right? What is your command text? So in the step number one, we have read the PowerShell and we have stored the content of PowerShell into add number. So you have to pass that add number as a command text in step number two, right? In our example, this is the script, right? So you need to check the each script checkbox as ticked, right? Then you also need to define PowerShell variables, which is nothing but arguments, right? As we discussed in the previous example when we are invoking the VB.NET and C# code, right? So how we should be able to give input and output to the PowerShell? We can use PowerShell variable collection to give the input and output same way that we have given for the invoking C# and .NET code. I'll showcase you in working example, so don't worry about it. After this step 3, I'll go to the UiPath Studio and quickly build a program and showcase you how you can work with that, right? And then in the third step, what you need to do is, this third step is optional. So basically what you need to do is whatever the output coming from the PowerShell, you need to perform certain action on that, right? So you should be able to print that message. You should be able to, use that output from the PowerShell into different activities. So that's how. So basically, first you need to read the script file, store the content of the script into a string variable, use that string variable, pass that into the PowerShell activity as a command text, define what are the inputs and output parameters, and then use the invoke PowerShell activity. Result will be stored into the output variable, and that output variable can be used for the further operation. So let's quickly go to the UiPath Studio and see how it works. All right, guys. So for sake of simplicity, what I have done is I have created, examples for module number 8. So basically these are the examples I'll be sending you after, once we are done with the training. So this we have already discussed, and now we're going to discuss about this one. So let me open this project. And okay, so in this we have this example. So what we are doing here is we are using two steps only. First thing that we are doing is reading a text file, which is nothing but a text file into the current directory. So we have a text file here. This text file is nothing but a PowerShell, right? A simple shell script is written. What we are doing here is, those who do not understand, we are trying to read the services, all the services running on the machine where status will be passing as a input. So take about a scenario. Look at, many times you will face a issue when you are specifically dealing with SAP based application or a desktop based application. You will find some of the services are not running, right? So in the UI path, what we do is we create a PowerShell, and using that PowerShell, we, before running the automation, we try to see all the services are up and running or not. If they are up and running, it's good. If that's not up and running, we also write another PowerShell script to start and stop them, right? So here we are doing basic thing. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the services. Get service is a commandlet that is given by the Microsoft. It's available as a library, so you don't need to write any code. The moment you use get services, you should be able to get all the services which are running on your system. Then we have used a pipe operation. Pipe operation is nothing but giving the input to it. So here we are giving where object, right, status equal to service status, and service status is a variable that we are passing into this example from the UiPath Studio, right? So say for example, if you want to look for only running processes or only stopped processes, right, or only not responding processes, so we should be able to pass that value as a variable to service state. Whatever the result of get service command, that we are storing into out file, and we have given a file path as a variable so that it will be able to store the output of the command into that file. And at the end, we have used a option which is called append. So we are not trying to overwrite and create a new file. If there is a new content, it has to be added into the same file. So that's what this script is all about. I am not master in PowerShell, right? So if you want to learn more about PowerShell, you can follow the tutorials and documentation on tutorials point or any other website. But what I'm trying to explain you here is PowerShell is really useful for performing certain admin stuff, right? Or if you are doing IT automation, right? So let's quickly go back to UiPath Studio. So this is the our PowerShell script. So first thing that we need to do is we need to read this file and store the output as a content, right? So this is the content will be stored into the PS script. That's a variable. Now we need to invoke the PowerShell. So in the PowerShell, what we need to do here is we need to pass the command text. Command text is nothing but what we have read here. So it's a PS script. And then in the parameters, you should be able to define what you need to send to the script, PowerShell script. So in the script we have seen we have a variable called service status and we have a variable called output file path. So in the service status we are sending running. That means we are going to see only services which are running. So you should be able to change it from here, or you should be able to make another argument here, and that can be used dynamically, right? And then we have another parameter which is nothing but output file path. So I am saying create a file where, so I am using a special type of variable called environment. This can be used to access your current directory and many other stuff. So I am using environment.current directory. That means from where this process is running, create a file with the name service status.log. So it will create a file into the same directory, right? And we have used a construct called append. So whatever the status would be here, this type of file would be created. Whatever the status would be here, it will append that. It is not going to delete anything into it. So for sake of simplicity, let's delete this one. Okay. And now run this. So once it is completed, when you refresh it, you will see there is a file here which says status of all your running processes on your machine. So once this file is generated, I mean, in your use case, if you want to, see if there is a stopped process and you need to start it, you should be able to write the, logic here, and that's where these power cells are useful. Any doubt, guys, on this particular example? Anything you are not able to understand? You are good? Guys, I am waiting for your input.
I understand, sir.
Okay. And this is what I was talking about. So if you search in a Google PowerShell UiPath, you will see our documentation here. So this is a detailed article we have written on how to integrate with PowerShell with multiple examples, right? The example that I have shown in the interest of time is a one example. But if you follow this document, why PowerShell, how it works, and what you need to do step by step. So you should be able to follow this document. What is commandlet? How you can use the get service commandlet? What is the, these all things are, described here in a more detailed manner. Okay, so you can use this article. I have already sent the link of this, article in a, our chat. So you should be able to use that. Guys, can you give me some example where you have seen that PowerShell automation is using in being used in your organization? Any example? Is that being used, or you have seen that's pretty useful
In installations.
in
Like to
install?
open GitHub repository also.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, say for example, if you need to create a GitHub repository with a template, right? So you can use that. Lot many use cases are there with the cloud engineers are using, lot many stuffs with the PowerShell, right? So say for example, you have to create a AWS workspace in, in our RPA project also, our infrastructure team is using automation using UiPath and PowerShell. So what they do is inside the UiPath, they have a PowerShell written which creates a VM on AWS. So we just pass the input and all those details and it will create a VM using the, the modules that has been provided by the AWS. So those things can be integrated, right? Using the PowerShell. So I just wanted to give you, overview how you should be able to leverage the PowerShell inside your UiPath script. Many times we have to perform a bulk file operation. That's where PowerShell is really, really useful. If you have to move bulk amount of file from one folder to another folder location, copy it over or delete or perform some operations, sort, resize, zipping and all those things. In those scenario, PowerShell is really, really useful because if you use for each activity to perform certain action on the file, it will take years to complete those. I have an automation where we used to receive, somewhere around 900 files from a vendor. And what we need to do is we need to copy them over to a different folder location. We need to zip them and, compress it and save it to some other, tape drive, which is not under the backup, so that we save the storage cost, right? So those kind of things can be also done using the PowerShell activity inside a UiPath. All right. I hope I'm able to help you understand how PowerShell scripts can be used in a UiPath. Let's quickly move to next one, which is really, really important. How Python integration works with UiPath, right? And Python language needs no introduction today. Reason being, it is growing in such a pace that for machine learning or for artificial intelligence in use case in RP industry, it's quite obvious choice to integrate your workflow using the Python. Many time your data science team will give you a pickle file or a Python file with the pickles and all those things, which contains their trained ML libraries, right? So what you need to do is you need to use that Python file inside your UiPath, pass some input and return the output. Being a RPA developer, if you understand how Python works, it's good. But if you don't understand and you are trying to use the code which is written by data science engineer or data engineer, you should be able to use it. Why Python is really important is it's due to huge number of libraries, modules and package available in a Python. And that's the reason it's a first choice. Another such example is a Pandas library, which is an amazing library providing flexibility and high performance on data structure manipulations. Similar way, what we do on data tables, we should be able to perform any kind of operations on tabular data using the Pandas. And that's really efficient, faster in the performance. So many times in UiPath also what we do is we send the data table as an input, perform some operations using the Pandas library, and then sending result back to the UiPath, next activity. So use case is pretty huge. You can use all free open source AI ML algorithm given by the different companies. You should be able to, write a small programming language Python construct into your workflow. Say for example, getting the business date, performing some calendar operations and all those things. And those can be easily written in a Python. But if you need to write the same code in a .NET or C#, it takes a while because Python has lot many library which makes your life easier. So you should be able to use it, right? Now, what are the things that will be required to integrate Python into the UiPath, right? So quite obvious, all Python interpreter is not supported. Last time when we are using into 2020, 2010 edition, only Python up to 3.6 has been supported. But now with the latest release, Python till 3.9 is also been supported. There is still some difficulties with the Python 32 edition, 32-bit Python interpreter. So I'll suggest you to use 64-bit. Also, you need to install a UiPath Python activity as a dependency, which is shown in the screen at the right hand side. So you should be able to see UiPath python.activities by UiPath that you need to install. Additionally, what you could do is you can use Notepad++, PyCharm or any Python editor outside your UiPath to write the code and test it before you can move the code into UiPath. Okay. Working with Python with UiPath is little different. In the last two example, you have seen that when we are working with C# and .NET, all we need to do is write a code and give the input and output parameter. UiPath should be able to run it. Reason being, they all are based on .NET technologies. PowerShell also at the core, it's using Microsoft based technologies and it should be able to integrate with UiPath pretty easily without much worrying about the dependencies and much worried about the DLL files which is required. But for Python, it's altogether a different language, which is not at the core of the UiPath, and that's the reason you need additional DLL and libraries to integrate with. And for the same reason, you need to follow additional steps in UiPath if you want to run the Python code. So UiPath Python library provides you these 5 activities, and this will be an interview question, guys, for 100% those who are going for a RPA developer examination. How you integrate Python inside a UiPath. So you need to explain these 5 activities in your answer. So let me explain you how this works. So to work with Python integration in UiPath, you need to use the activity which is provided by the Python. And first activity that you need to use is a Python scope. And quite obvious, we need to use the Python scope first. Reason being, is provide a container. When I say container, that means it gives you lot of libraries and all those things similar to what, say for example, if we need to automate a browser, right? So the first thing what we do, we use a open browser scope at the top. and every activity that we perform that comes inside it, right? So similar to that, or in Excel, you can take examples. So for automating Excel, what we do, we first use Open Excel application. So similarly, for performing tasks using Python, you need to use a Python scope, right? And Python scope will take some values. It will ask you for where your Python is installed, what kind of binary it is it 32-bit or 64-bit, and all those kind of stuff. So we'll look at those settings when we go into the UiPath Studio and help you to explain how it will be invoked. But for now, you understand the first activity that you need to use is a Python scope. That's a container. Once you use that, second thing that you need to do is load Python script. Remember the PowerShell example. So in the PowerShell example, what we did? We first read the script, which is as a text file, to store that as a string variable so that it could be passed to invoke PowerShell activity. Similar to that, we are reading the Python file and storing that, Python code to a Python object variable. The difference is there we are using a string object, here we are using Python object. So the moment you use load Python script, it will convert your Python code into a Python object. Next, what you need to do is once you have loaded the Python script, you have to use invoke Python method. Why Python method? Why Python not script, right? Because you could have multiple methods defined inside the same Python program, right? You can write multiple methods. Say for example, first method is addition, subtraction, multiplication, differentiation, and all those things, right? If you're talking about a simple calculator program. Similarly, if you are talking about the employee integration, we could have create employee, delete employee, create employee email address, create employee VM, and all those kind of things. So you need to give two things here when you are using invoke Python method. First, which is the Python object you are going to run, and then inside that Python object, which method you are going to use. So these are the two inputs that will be given to the invoke Python method, right? Once that invoke Python method will work, it will return you a Python object, right? So you will use get Python object. That's nothing but basically getting the output from your Python script. So whatever you have written in a return statement of the Python, that will be stored as a get Python object, right? Okay. Here it performs additional step. What it does is it also convert the Python object in a .NET type, right? So that you should be able to use the output from Python into UiPath Studio. And keep in mind, all the Python data types are not supported by UiPath. So you need to be careful when you are returning some object from the Python. So yeah, right. So you need to consider that. If you are returning a data type which is supported by Python but not supported by .NET, you will land into a problem, right? So you need to also take care of that. Most of the basic data types like integer, string, arrays, and all those are supported. But if you are working on complex object, you need to perform certain other activity to perform that task, right? So let's take an example, and what we are going to do is we are going to create a program, right, which will calculate sum of squares. Okay, and for that, what all steps we need to follow? Okay, so let's quickly go to UiPath Studio and help you to explain how you should be able to do it. So I'll need to close this, open a local project. I have to go in module number and then a Python script. Okay, so this is a Python example that I have written for you. So I have two examples here. So I'll start with the first one. So first thing that I have done is I have written a small Python program, which what this program is, I have defined a method called square sum, and I am giving n as a input. Okay, and for range in 1 to n plus 1, it calculates the sum of squares and it will return whatever the value it will be stored here. So it's basically returning the sum of square of first n natural number, where n is a input given from the program. You should be able to write what kind of Python program you wanted to write. Steps would be same, right? So what would be the steps that we need to follow? Okay, so first step is we need to drag a Python scope into your workflow window and set certain variables. So you need to set Python path, target, and version of the Python. So let's quickly go here. Okay, and if you look at this example, what I have done is I have used that inside a try and catch block, and the first activity that we have used is a Python scope here. So just to help you understand, what I can do here is I can create a new sequence so that you understand how it works. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is Python scope. Okay, put into a try and catch block. Okay, and then what we need to do here is catch is saying an exception, so we'll fix that later, or we can fix it in valid operations here. Now in the Python scope you need to define 3 values. One is path, target, and then this one. So let's copy the Python path which I have installed here. So on my machine Python path is installed here. So you need to give Python path as a string. And look at, I am not giving the complete path. I am giving the path where Python is installed, the directory itself, not the exact path of Python exe. I have seen, many, candidates is doing, they're giving the path of Python exe and then it's failing. So you have to give the Python path. And then in the target, you need to select what kind of Python it is. If it is a 32-bit or it is a, 64-bit. So you have to select that accordingly. And then you have to select which kind of Python it is, right? So I have selected auto. So UiPath should be able to identify it automatically. That's the first step you need to do, right? Then what you need to do? This is the step number 1, right? So we are done with step number 1. We have dragged the Python scope. We have set the Python path. We have set the, target, what kind of variant Python it is and what kind of version. Now, second step is we need to drag and load Python script, which we're gonna execute into the UiPath Studio. So, I need to close this one. This is not required now. So, what you have to call is load Python script. Okay, and in the Python script, what you need to do is you need to copy the script that you are going to run. So my script is text.py, and here you need to store the output of this as a Python object. So let's say says Python object. Okay, so this will be stored as a Python object. Now what is next? What we need to do? So once we have completed this is a Python object, and I have given name as Python object, right? Here in this example, it's saying sum square. So you should be able to give any name, right? So I have given Python object. In step number 3, what we need to do? We need to invoke the Python method. Python method, and remember here, I need to explain a couple of things here. So this is the most important step of the Python integration, and you need to take care about the input argument. You need to take care about the instance of a Python variable. You need to take care of the name of the method which is written inside a program, and then you need to store the output of the Python execution. So these are the few important properties that we need to configure in a UiPath Studio for your automation to work. So let's quickly go to UiPath Studio and see how we should be able to do that. So what we need to do is invoke Python method. And what are the argument? So first thing that we need to see is We are using Python object. This is a Python object that we are using as an instance. And what is the name of method that we need to run? So name of method is nothing but this one. So this is the name of the method that we are going to execute. So we'll write that into here. Okay. And what is the input parameter? So as you see that we are sending one input which is n, right? So we should be able to define that here. How we should be able to define it? So I just wanted to showcase you first here, and then I'll calculate you. So you have to define that as input parameter, right? There is a catch. Last time when we defined the input parameter, we have used collections, right? Because in PowerShell and in Vocode, they are using the collection method to get the input. But Python is entirely different. Python has different structure for storing their collections, list and tuples and all those things. As of now, it only supports, named tuple operation. So anything that you need to send that in a curly braces, each argument followed by their name. So that means we won't be able to create a collection and input and output here, right? So what in this case, what we need to do is we need to create a variable first. Say for example, I want to send, number as an input. Okay. And what is the type of number is integer, and let me change this to upper label so that it can be accessed everywhere. So I have defined a variable called number. Now let's do one more thing. Set this number value default to 5, just so that we don't need to pass it. So default value is 5. And now come here, and in the parameter what you need to do is, it's a immutables of object, right? It's not a collection. So all you need to do is set this one and then press OK. So number will be passed to Python object. And now you need to store the result which is coming after the execution of Python. So control, we will say sum, and the result here is Python object. So we'll return the Python object from here. But we cannot perform any operation on Python object. We need to convert that into .NET objects, right? .NET type before we perform certain operations. So next thing that we need to do is get Python object, and we need to pass the Python object that we have used. So what is the Python object we have used? Some Python object. So this is the Python object that we are using. And now when we give this object, right, and here we'll say the result is to be in some net object. So the result will be automatically converted from Python object to .NET object, and once it is converted in the .NET object, we should be able to use it as we use into different workflow. So we should be able to use now log messages or anything what you want, but this here you need to use .NET object and .toString. So this is how your Python block will look like. Any questions, guys, here? Any doubt you are not able to understand? This is really, really useful. You need to understand how Python can be integrated with, UiPath. It's good. You able to understand this? So this is how you build the block. So let's quickly run it. It's got completed, and in the output Guys, I wanted to showcase you something here. So sometime what will happen is, when you are, giving a target as 32-bit, right? So it will give you error like this. It will tell you UiPath invalid operations. So in these cases, what we do in the try block, we write the Python script, and in the catch block, what we are doing is we are capturing the invalid operations exception. So most of the time when you are performing Python based operation, exception that will be thrown by the UiPath Studio will be invalid operations. So make sure if you write a Python code, you catch this invalid operation exception. And this is the reason why this is, I don't know why it's auto hidden. So I need to, yeah. And this is because the problem is with Python scope. So here we have used this 86, which is 32-bit. Now when I change it and when I save it and when I run it, this time it will not be a problem. So you can see the result returned is 55. So that's the reason I am saying you, when you are using the Python script, make sure that you are using 64-bit. In 32-bit, UiPath is have problems. Sometimes it will work, for some operation it will not work. So I'll suggest to go with 64-bit. That's the one thing. Another thing, when you are writing a Python code, make sure that you use that in a try and catch block, and the catch block, please use invalid operation exception. Because when you execute the Python, it will throw this error. It will not send the system exception. So if you need to know what went wrong in the Python, you need to use this one. This is another interview questions. So they'll ask you, when you execute a Python script, what kind of exception it will throw. So it will throw invalid operation exception. Okay. Any doubt here in this Python script and Python integration?
Satish, would you mind repeating it quickly one more time?
Okay. Right. I mean, so basically, see, what I'm trying to explain you here is, when Python is a different programming language, right? So it's using a different, program counter, programming stack to hold and capture information of the exception, right? Usually when we invoke a PowerShell and other programming language, exceptions will be stored to the system exception because they are using the same set of exception handling. But when we are running a Python script inside a UiPath, right, it will be returned as a different type of exception, right? So if you use system exception here, you might not be able to capture that. Or if you want to specifically print what went wrong with the Python script, so for that you need to use invalid operation exception. That will give you more detail about this, So let's take example of this one again. Let me change this, make it 32-bit so that error will be thrown, right? And I'll run this in a debug mode. So I'll put a breakpoint here. Okay, now run this. So what will come here, and when I do step into, it has some issues. So it has moved directly to the catch block. Instead of executing this, and this, it has moved to catch block here. And then when I do step in, it will print what went wrong. So basically, UiPath.python.activity is having some issues, right? And that's the reason it's not able to run this. You should be able to also look at the more detail when you are running in a debug here. So this is what it's saying. It's the same message that we have printed in our log file. So all what I'm trying to explain you here is, when you are using a Python, make sure to use this invalid operation exception block to help you debug the issue. Because I have seen many candidates coming to me saying that I am trying to run a Python script, it does nothing and it doesn't throw any error. Sometime what will happen, UiPath Studio will stop working. It will not throw any error. And we have seen that, lot many examples. So let me quickly go to type here is Python UiPath. Okay. And let's go to our documentation here. Okay. Again, this is a detailed article how you need to integrate a Python with UiPath. It's the same example that I am explaining you guys. So you will face these issues. So what will happen? UiPath Python host 32 has stopped working when you are working with 32-bit specifically. Sometime what will happen is UiPath robot will stop working. It will not give any issues. And that's the reason I am saying this is a best practices that you need to follow. Sometime even after you follow the best practices, it will not tell you what went wrong. So for that reason, we have an additional capability given by the UiPath to use UiPath diagnose tool.exe, and you need to, create a crash report. So this will give you more detail, right, on what went wrong. So how you should be able to do it. For this, I'll, go to help you explain. This is also another useful feature is local app data. So you need to type this one. So you'll go in a local app data and then you go to UiPath, right here in the UiPath, and then you have app. This, where is the app code? I think, oh sorry, I'm using a enterprise edition now, so it is installed differently. This command is for UiPath is to a community edition. So enterprise, it is saved differently, so it is installed in different location. So that's it will be stored somewhere here. You can use that UiPath Studio icon and then open a folder location. This is what I was talking about. So this is diagnostic tool, and you have to open a file location. So you have to come here and you need to run this. And this is a diagnostic tool. So all you need to do is click next. You need to select what all information you want to get. So click on the collect, and you should be also able to configure where you want to store the result. So this is a tool that is used, and mostly this will be when you have raised a ticket to UiPath team will say that I understand that you have a problem. Could you please help and export the UiPath diagnostic logs so that we should be able to understand what went wrong? And it will give lots of information, lot many information. So it will give you all the registry values. It will give, if you are using multiple screens, what is the resolution of those screens, right? Machine details, what is the current session, what are the path where your UiPath has been installed, studio execution log, ETL logs, robot logs, discovery logs, DLLs which are used, because sometimes it could be issued due to DLL, right? Especially when you are using with a Chrome. So sometimes Chrome do not communicate with UiPath Studio. So this all informations will be captured. A lot of information will be captured. So, and then you click on next and you export it. It will create a zip file. Let me save on desktop, and that need to be saved to UiPath team technical support. So that's how it is used. So this will folder would be created which contains everything, right? So this is also a really useful feature, and you should know how you should be able to run the UiPath diagnostic tool. Okay, got this? Any other questions on UiPath Python integration, guys, before I move to the next step, next concept? Anything else you wanted to ask? We are good here. No questions. You should be able to integrate Python scripts written by other into your UiPath program by just passing the input argument and receiving the output. Right. This is really useful. I'll tell you again, because you'll get lot many Python libraries written by some third party which performs lot of beautiful operations like image text information. If you do not want to use paid API, there are a lot of open source Python based model are available. All you need to do is download that folder, and then there will be a Python file that need to be executed with some input. Those things you should be able to do it in UiPath Studio easily. But obviously it depends on your organization if they support it, if they ask you to use third-party tools, right? So you should be able to do lot many stuff here, lot many sentiment analysis, language translation, text detection, image detection, object detection, a lot of experimental things. And I'll tell you, when you participate in any hackathon, that's how people used to create lot of examples where they are utilizing AI ML based algorithm in their UiPath studio. Okay, so with this I'll stop this and I'll move to the next part of today.